Ever wish you had like a whole team of experts just on call for you, for work stuff? Like your own little dream team to help you get things done.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what we're diving into today, this idea called business in a box.
It's a wild one.
It really is. So we're going to be talking about how AI agents working together could totally revolutionize, just how businesses do their thing.
And we're not just talking about automating like what you're already doing. This is like next level stuff.
Oh, yeah.
AI that could unlock stuff we haven't even thought of yet.
Okay, so business in a box.
Catchy. Yeah.
It sounds like, I don't know, a magic trick or something.
A little bit.
What are we actually talking about here?
Okay, so picture this. Instead of hiring a bunch of different people, specialists, right? You've got AI agents that are experts in like HR, procurement, legal, whatever you need.
Okay.
And they're all working together behind the scenes to make sure your business is running smoothly.
So less random chatbot, more like a whole AI workforce.
You got it, an interconnected one. And just like a good team, this system's got different interfaces depending on who's using it.
Interfaces. Okay, break that down for me.
All right, so you've got the user interface. This is like your everyday interaction. Think of it like the dashboard on your car. Simple. Tells you what you need to know.
Okay.
And then there's the audit interface. This is where it gets really cool.
Oh, tell me more.
It's like you get X-ray vision into how the AI team is actually thinking.
Really?
You can see them interacting, sharing information, making decisions.
So wait, when you say see them working, what, like lines of code, what am I looking at?
More exciting than that. Think like a flowchart.
Okay.
But it's dynamic, constantly updating in real time. Each agent is a node, and as they're talking, working together, those connections light up.
So you're watching the team strategize, but it's AI.
Exactly.
Okay, that is way cooler than lines of code, I gotta admit.
Right.
But what happens if something goes wrong? Do you need, like, a tech person on standby 24/7 to keep these AI agents in check?
That's where our third interface comes in. The manager interface.
Okay.
The emergency button, for those moments when a human needs to step in and like provide some oversight.
So it's not completely hands-off.
Yeah.
There's still a role for us humans in this AI future, which, phew, I gotta say, a little reassuring.
Of course, yeah. This isn't about replacing humans. It's about giving us better tools and freeing us up to focus on the bigger picture stuff.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
So we've got this business in a box. It's got the fancy interfaces, the AI agents doing their thing. But we have chatbots, right?
Yeah.
We've got automation. What makes this different? Why is everyone so excited about multi-agent systems in particular?
That's a great question. It helps to think about AI in levels.
Levels.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about a video game or
A
something.
little bit. So we've got level 1, your basic informational chatbot. They're everywhere, right? Ask a question, get some info. The article was an example. Imagine you ask this business in a box system,
Yeah.
what's the company dress code?
Okay. And the bot would, like, access the company handbook, spit out the answer. Helpful, but not exactly mind-blowing.
Exactly. Level 2 is where we start to see more action. This is where the single agents come in. These guys can actually do things,
Do things.
not just give you information, like take the procurement agent.
So instead of just telling you where to buy office supplies, it could actually order them. Now that's progress.
Right, but here's the key difference. It still involves that human approval. The article talks about how, like, the procurement agent would need authorization before issuing, a new employee badge, for example.
Security and all that. Makes sense.
Right.
But yeah, a definite step up from just an advice-giving chatbot. So what about this level 3? What makes the multi-agent system so special?
This is where the magic happens.
From.
Now, instead of one agent handling one task, you've got multiple agents, all specialized, working together, just like a human team would.
Oh, wow.
Except they're AI-powered, and they don't need coffee breaks.
So it's like having that dream team of experts, but it's AI all collaborating on a whole other level.
Exactly. So going back to, like, a new employee joining the company, imagine you have the HR agent handling paperwork, you got the procurement agent sorting out equipment, the IT agent setting up their account, all happening seamlessly in the background.
Wow. So no more emailing back and forth between departments, no more waiting for someone to get back from vacation.
Exactly.
That is incredible. But the article mentioned that this system, it's way more flexible than just, pre-programmed workflows, right? What do they mean by that?
You're right. It's not just about following a set path. These multi-agent systems, they can actually adapt and handle new situations, which is really where their potential lies. And a key concept here is the network effect.
Okay. Now, I've heard of that with like social media and stuff, but how does that apply to AI agents in a business?
Yeah, so it's a cool analogy, right? Think of it like this. Every time you add a new AI agent, it's like adding a new connection to a network. But it's not just about like how many agents you have, it's about how they connect and what those connections make possible.
Okay, so more agents, more connections, more potential. But what does that look like in the real world?
Okay, let's say you add a legal agent. Its main job, maybe reviewing contracts, giving legal advice. But then suddenly, that ability, that sign off, it becomes something that other agents can use. So the marketing agent needs to get a press release approved, boom, legal agent. Sales agent needs a contract finalized, legal agent again.
Hold on. So even a small change, like adding one new agent, could have this ripple effect across the entire company.
Exactly. And the best part, you might end up with uses you never even thought of. It's not just automating what you already do, it's like this system that's always evolving, finding new ways to be useful.
So it's almost like it's getting smarter as it goes.
Right. Not machine learning exactly, but it's got that vibe. Constant improvement, expanding capabilities just from how these agents are interacting.
Okay, that's pretty wild.
Oh.
But let's get real for a sec. Limitations. It's still early days, right? There's got to be some bumps along the way. What are we talking about here?
Oh, absolutely. Their article mentions a few. One of the big ones is they call it placeholder functions.
Placeholder functions.
That sounds like something's missing.
In a way, yeah. It means the AI, it can communicate, it can trigger actions, but the actual connection to, like, the real-world systems, that might still be in development.
So they built the car, but the engine's not there yet.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But remember, it's early days. Those connections will come. Then things get really interesting.
Okay, so what other limitations should we be keeping in mind right now?
Knowledge base is a big one. Right now, these systems, they're trained on, well, a pretty small amount of data compared to everything out there.
So the AI is only as good as the info it has access to, which means there's a risk of it being incomplete or even inaccurate.
Exactly. And making sure that data is good, accurate, that's crucial, especially as these systems get more complex, more interconnected. All right, so this isn't something you can just, like, set it and forget it. Needs oversight, maintenance, making sure everything's running smoothly, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And then there's scale. The demo, it showed a handful of agents, right? But imagine hundreds, thousands of these agents all working together.
Things could get a little chaotic. How do you even manage that?
That's the question, right? It's a huge challenge for developers. We might need entirely new ways of like organizing, managing these massive AI systems. Can you imagine needing an org chart for your AI workforce?
That's kind of hilarious and also terrifying.
Right.
Okay, but let's talk about the elephant in the room, jobs. Every time AI comes up, people get worried about their jobs, and for good reason.
Rightfully so.
So what are your thoughts on this? What does this mean for the future of work?
It's the big question, isn't it? And it's something we need to think about carefully. I think the key here is it shouldn't be about replacing people. It should be about giving them better tools.
So less robots are taking over, more robots are taking out the trash, so to speak.
Exactly. Imagine AI handles the boring stuff, the repetitive tasks, all that admin work, frees us up to focus on, the things we're good at, problem solving, creative thinking, that human touch that's hard to replicate.
It's about finding that right balance between human intelligence and AI, using each where it excels.
Exactly. And the article had this great example about lawyers. Imagine, instead of spending hours on basic contracts or tracking down information, the AI handles that. Now the lawyers, they can focus on the big picture stuff, advising clients, dealing with the really complex issues.
No more scrambling for that one clause in a contract on a Friday afternoon.
Exactly.
Sign me up. Sounds like a win-win.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I'm starting to see how this could be a game changer for a lot of industries. But like you said, it's still early days. Where do we go from here? What has to happen to make this whole business in a box thing really take off? Well, for starters, it's going to take more than just cool tech, right? It's going to require investment. And not just in developing the AI itself, but in figuring out how to actually use it in the real world. The article talked about 3 key areas: agentic use cases, then digitization, and of course, new tools.
Okay, let's break those down a bit. Agentic use cases. What does that even mean?
Basically thinking bigger. Instead of just, can we automate this one tiny task? It's more like, how can we use AI agents to totally transform this whole department? Like really thinking strategically about how these agents can work together on a larger scale.
Got it. So, big picture stuff. What about digitization? Isn't everything digital these days?
You'd be surprised. Lots of businesses still rely on, old school paper processes, or they've got information stuck in systems that can't talk to each other. So to really make this multi-agent AI work, all that info needs to be, digitized, standardized, accessible.
Right, garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Right.
Okay, last but not least, new tools. What kind of tools are we talking?
This is where it gets exciting for the techies. We're talking about needing totally new tools for designing these multi-agent systems, building them, managing them, even like monitoring them. Think AI orchestration platforms, debugging tools for how agents interact, heck, even ethical frameworks.
Wow, it's like we're not just talking about a new tech, we're talking about a whole new industry around it.
Pretty much. And it's not just the tech, right? We're going to need people with new skills to build these systems, to manage them, people who get both the AI side and how different businesses work.
A whole new generation of AI architects, trainers, ethicists. Man, that is a lot to think about. Any last thoughts for our listeners before we wrap up this deep dive into the business in a box?
I think the biggest question we have to ask ourselves is what kind of future do we want with this tech? Because it has the potential to really change things up. And it's on us to make sure we're using it to build a future that works for everyone.
A future where AI and humans are working together, each doing what they do best. Now, that's a future I can get behind. Well, we've covered a ton today, from the basics of AI agents to that mind-bending network effect, even some big questions about the future of work. It's been, well, pretty wild.
And it's just the beginning.
I have a feeling you're right about that. Who knows, maybe on a future episode we'll have an AI agent as our guest host. Now, that'd be a deep dive.
I'm sure our listeners would love that.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored the exciting world of business in a box and multi-agent AI. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.